Thanks for joining us for a special early live version of Ask Stacy and Amanda on Facebook Live with Bank of North Dakota. We're usually live every single Tuesday at 2:30, but as long as you like us on all social media and turn on those live notifications, you're going to know no matter what time we go live and what we are talking about. So remember, if you do have any questions, leave us a comment below or send us a direct message if it's something a little more private that you'd like to have answered individually. Today we are talking about the very exciting topic of taxes. So I am at Widmer Roll up in Bismarck with Tanya Holmstrom, who is a CPA here. So Tanya, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Love it.
So let's just kind of dive in. I learned that sometimes scholarships might be taxable kind of at the end of 2018, which is how this session got spurred. Okay. So what situations might a student have to report a scholarship on their taxes?
So most of the time, 9 times out of 10, right, we go to an eligible university, we spend our scholarship money, we don't even know what happens, right? Yep. The school spends our scholarship money right on eligible expenses, qualified expenses, meaning tuition, fees, required course materials. Required is the keyword.
Yeah.
So sometimes, if those aren't the terms or that's not what we use it for, it could wind up being taxable. But we usually get a pretty form from the school showing the tuitions we paid, the scholarships that we received, and some of the taxability can be listed.
Okay. So really the key words here are eligible
Yes.
or eligible institution,
Yes.
which if you've been around our videos for a while, you're going to know that means that they're eligible to receive Title IV funding, which means they're eligible to receive financial aid.
Yes.
So that's one key, and the other is eligible expenses, which again, if you've been around our College Save videos, that means tuition and fees, sometimes room and board, and like you mentioned, books and eligible supplies.
Yes.
So really, when receiving scholarships, that's kind of the key, is the eligibility of the school and what you're spending the money on.
Right.
And when, the room and board piece, that's a little, neither here nor there.
Right. So when we talk about qualified expenses, meaning we receive a scholarship, right? Those qualified expenses, like we said, tuition, fees, required course materials, sometimes technology, computer supplies, it depends. Non-qualified expenses could be room and board, right?
Yeah.
Could be, we're going to get into more about services. Maybe you did work and that was part of the deal with the scholarship terms, right? But usually it's non-taxable and it's spent right by the school. You don't even know it. It goes to tuition and fees first, and that's all just fine.
Yeah, good to know. So most students, for the most part, don't really have anything to worry about.
I really don't think so. You mentioned earlier, sometimes you can get those smaller scholarships from local charities or something like that. Those maybe have potential because maybe they actually touch your hands and they don't get to the school. But most of the time, the money, like we said, goes right to the school and the school handles it accordingly. And they have the terms of the agreement and all that fancy stuff on hand.
Yeah.
And so the student usually has very little to worry about.
Okay. And then the college is going to send you the required forms that you're going to need for your taxes.
Yep.
So what situations would a scholarship be taxable?
So some of the things we talked about, room and board, right, often can trigger it. But you mentioned before, fellowship is a good word. Yeah. But oftentimes if you're getting a scholarship and you're doing something outside of just going to school, right, doing the required studies, providing a service, sometimes that can trigger taxability.
Okay. So providing a service, that could mean like a fellowship, maybe they're doing research, teaching a class. I know sometimes that's a situation for graduates, school students.
Exactly.
Okay. So those kinds of things. Now, here's the good question, or the next question. All of the questions are good. Who claims it on their taxes? Is it the parent or the student?
So it depends. So the right answer is whoever is claiming the student as a dependent will get those get to try to take credit for those eligible credits, deductions, so on and so forth. And so the right answer again is who provides more than half of that student's support.
Okay.
Most of the time, mom and dad are paying for insurance, so on and so forth. That's common, not always.
Yep.
So if the student's truly out on their own, paying for their own expenses and supporting themselves, they're going to claim themselves as dependent on their return, and they're going to take credit for that, for the scholarship coming in, for the tuition credits, deductions, so on and so forth.
Good to know. So parents, if you're a parent of a traditional student, they're still a dependent of yours, you'll claim it. Students, typically if you're like an independent on the FAFSA where you're paying most of your own way, then you will likely claim this scholarship on your taxes if you have to. So should students ever turn down a scholarship opportunity because of tax ramifications?
So my gut instinct on this is no, like why would you do that, right? So there can be situations where you actually want to trigger tax in your situation. Again, talk to your accountant, so on and so forth. It's very rare, but it could happen. But I would say more often than not, talk to your accountant before you accept the scholarship if you're worried about it, if it's really material and really high. But most of the time, no, there shouldn't be a reason why we wouldn't want to receive assistance for educational purposes. Again, your personal accountant, your parents' accountant, whoever that would be, they're going to know the situation. They can help you with that specific detail. And
if any of my financial aid friends are watching this, you're probably internally laughing because at least twice Tanya has said, "It depends," which is the favorite phrase of all financial aid administrators everywhere. Just because, truly every single student's situation is different. Your financial situation is different. Maybe the terms of your scholarship or the agreement, whatever. It's going to be different from person to person to person. So there's no cookie cutter answer for a lot of this kind of stuff. And you did say earlier, don't rely on what worked well for your friend.
Right. So sometimes I'll pick on my mom here, Mom, if you're ever going to watch, but she'll say, "Oh, your aunt," or "My friend does this," right? And it's very possible that the same thing could apply to you, but it's very rare. And so find out your own details, find out your own situation, and make sure it works for you. Just because it worked for someone else, there might be different ramifications on your part. So.
Yeah, and that is awesome advice. And that was actually I think the question that you answered to, what last piece of advice do you have for our current viewers and future viewers? Janelle says hi, we're two of our favorites.
Janelle.
So
well, she knows that I think taxes are awesome. I'm one of the rare ones, but if you have a question, ask someone. Or, you can go research on your own. There's lots of good, ways to find that information, but every situation is different, and don't make any assumptions. But find your tax professional, find a tax professional. We're obviously happy to help, but find someone and run that scenario by them so that you have a true answer from them.
Good. That is great advice. Well, Tanya, thank you so much for your expertise on taxes.
Sure.
Right in the middle of tax season, so I am sure you are super duper busy. Like Tanya said, go and ask your tax people, your financial aid people. Even send us a message if you want. We might not have the answer, but we'll at least get you going in the right direction towards somebody that probably does. So I am off next week, but Stacy will be back. She's going to be talking about the transition from college to career. So even if you're graduating from high school, if that career path is right ahead of you, you're not going to college, or you're doing like any other situation, maybe you're an adult who's entering the workforce for the first time, tune in next Tuesday at 2:30, turn on those live notifications, and I will see you in 2 weeks with Stacy again. We'll be live. All right, thanks
Thank you.
Tanya, and we will see you all later.
Bye.